I'll go on the nerd here again, and so today we're gonna really take a look on like how do we get stuff to show up on our iPhone app screen. So like, like whenever you on apps, obviously you see like some words, you see all of that. So we're gonna take a look on how that's possible. And I know what you're thinking, like, yo, you wanna make apps. You don't have time for waste time. You wanna make apps right now. But you see, the thing is, when it comes to making apps, it's like this, like it's like building blocks now. So you learn this little piece, and then you learn another piece, and then you build upon it, and then you learn another piece, and then you make a great app. And the first step we are gonna deal with right now is to figure out how do we get text to show on the screen, and what can we do with that text in SwiftUI. So if you're ready for this, make we do this. Boom. We're gonna be taking a look at text and like how those work in pretty much in making iPhone apps. How do we get words to show on the screen? So I know it's a simple, as I said, it's pretty simple, but it's a step that we need to take to get better at making more apps, can make more complex, crazy apps. So the first thing is, obviously, again, you click on Xcode. Once you click on Xcode, I want you to go to create a new project, create a new Xcode project. Then we will actually go to, we will click on iOS, and we will make sure that app right here is selected. Don't worry about these right now, just make sure you have iOS and app selected here, then click next. We are just going to give the app a name, since it's really just going to be focused on how do text work in making iPhone apps and making iOS apps. Just put text tutorial. That's all I'm going to put. You can leave theme as none. If you already have an ID, like your name is on it already, you could press this, and then you could just select your name. Right now I'm just going to leave it as none. And organization identifier, you can use this as your last name or whatever your company is. Doesn't, not a big deal, since we're not really publishing it to the App Store right now, we're just testing it out. Make sure that interface right here is SwiftUI. You'll see that storyboard could be selected, lifecycle SwiftUI app, language Swift, and you don't need any of these. You don't need to use core data, you don't need any of these right here. So make sure all of these are unchecked. Cool. Now just click next. The next step that we need to do is basically we need to make a folder for where our Xcode project is going to be. If this sounds complicated to you, basically all we're doing right now is making a place, like a folder, where we're going to put all of our iOS app stuff in. And Apple is really going to make a lot of the beginning stuff for us. So right now I'm just going to put text tutorial video. Right, and then you can just click create. So you make the folder, and then we're just gonna put it in, and then just create. Okay, you might hit it twice again. I'm not sure why it's bugging like that. Anyway, so here we are. I am going to maximize this, and you might see this huge canvas over here. It's basically so you can get live previews. We're gonna use it, so just leave some space. But what we might not need right now is this extra section here. So if you could just click right here, just to get rid of that, and then we'll leave the canvas here. Just so again, you see you're already in here, and you see like basically there's some text here, as well as there is something called struct, content view. There's something called var, bodies, a whole bunch of stuff. But really what we're going to focus on is strictly just text. But so just so we can get a preview of what this code does, and this code right here, I've said it in the previous videos, but basically Apple is giving us boilerplate code, like startup code, beginner code. So you don't have to start exactly from scratch. So let's just click resume here so we can see a quick preview of what this will show. And if we're guessing right, it should basically just show some text on the screen, some words on the screen that just says this right here, hello world. So as a simulator builds, let's just give it some time. Depending on whichever computer you got, it might be faster, it might be slower. All good. Okay. Alright, so now it's finished building. You get the quick preview right here. You see the iPhone 11 simulator. You might have a different simulator, but you can change that whenever you want. So let's just press this magnifying glass button right here, or you can press the other button to zoom in. Okay, so as I said, any text that we're going to be looking at text, and that's pretty much how do we get this word to show on the screen. So since we're looking at that, let's just figure out how is hello world showing on the screen right now. So The only place in our code we're seeing hello world is right here, right? Between these two text things, text object you want to call it, or struct, and it's between these parentheses. So naturally you might guess like if you add like something else to this text, you would assume that maybe it will show up, and that's what happened. So basically the first thing is, remember, our goal is to find out how do we get text to show on the screen. So it seems like all we need right now is just text, right? So we need some type of text. We need to make this first. So let me just clear this out. I'm actually start over. So I'm gonna delete all of this right here, and I'm gonna add it back. So we need to type in text, and then we need to put the parentheses, and you will see a bunch of different stuff here. Don't worry about that. Just stick to up here where it says content string protocol, and then you'll see like it has a placeholder, and you'll see that whatever is inside those quotation marks inside these parentheses is what's showing up on the screen right there. And you must be wondering, all right, cool. So right now you realize whatever we put between text right here in these parentheses will show up on the screen. But why do we need these quotation marks? So we need these quotation marks because it's a data type. It sounds weird right now, so don't worry about it, but not really, because we need these quotation marks because it's a string. Strings are basically how we show words, how the computer understands that this is a word, this is a type of text. It's different from a number or a group of words. It sounds crazy now, but don't worry, we'll break it down more. The only thing I want you to know is that to get text on the screen, you would have to call this, you'd have to write text first with the parentheses, and then put in quotation marks whatever you want the text to say. So I'm gonna put text tutorials because I want tutorials. Come on, I want it, you know what I mean? I want it to say text tutorials. I want it to say like what it's about. Or if, man, you know what? Actually, that's pretty boring. Let's make it WAP. Yeah, we about to make this WAP. So our text, because I like WAP. And that's a burger, by the way. Anyway, so yeah, so if we want the text to show, we've got to make sure that we use a string, and a string is pretty much anything inside with quotation marks. Any word that's inside quotation marks that can show on the screen like this. Cool. So the next thing we're going to look at basically is what can we do to these type of text. Like how can we change this text to look any other way? We know we can make it say different things. Like we can say WAP is the best, right? We can do all of that. Can we make it bold? Another thing that we can make it bold. So all you have to do, what would happen is that we need to tell this text right here that like, yo, we're gonna modify you, we're gonna make an extra change to you. You're not just gonna be like a regular text like right here. So to do that, we have to use this thing called modifiers. And modifiers are basically things that you want to change. Like if you want to, as I said, you want to make it that whatever thing we're showing on the screen, like text right here, we want to make it different. We want to add a certain change just to this one. So to get the modifiers, you press dot or period. And what I want to do is I want to make the font a little bit more bold. So once you press dot, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff right here. A whole bunch of them. Some of them you honestly are not going to use. But it's modifiers for text. So let's just click on bold. And you see that it got a little bit bolder. Yeah, you can see it much better now. So you see it got a little bit more bold here versus when without the bold, it was just like plain and skinny and so boring. So let's look if we can find another modifier or change that we want to add. So let's press dot again, and you see one for font. So if you click on font, and then you're gonna notice that so there's a default value here. You see this little blue box? This is like a default value that Apple sets whenever you want to change the type of font. And you see that the title font makes this text way bigger. So if you wanted to pick a different one, all you do is click on the placeholder they have, that's title, and then just start typing dot or period again. And you could select whatever font you want. So if you wanted body, you could just do that and give it some time, and the simulator will preload, and you'll see it go down. Or if you wanted something really big. I think they have some like title, yeah, title or large title. Let's see what that is. Yeah, so you see it gets way bigger. Okay, so right now you saw me like it looks like when I put one I gotta replace it, and that's not the case. You can have multiple modifiers, multiple changes that you want to have to a text or a view. So if you press enter again and we start adding another modifier, we could try, let's try font weight. We haven't tried that one yet. And font weight is just basically that, like how bold, how big and big highlighted you want the text to be. So bold is what we tried before. Let's try heavy. What is heavy like? It looks like heavy, just give it like this nice crisp look right here. It's kind of bold. I kind of like that. Or if we decided, you know what, we don't want to make it heavy, we want to make it light, it goes back to something like that. But since this is WAP, I would definitely say let's make this bold as can be, because WAP is bold, good WAP is bold. So let's make it heavy. Good, I like that. Okay, all right, so the next thing is let's look at another modifier that we have. So press dot again, or period, and we can actually change the color of basically the text, and we can also change the background of the text. Right now, if we do foreground color, as you see by default, because it has a default value, it's blue here. That's just something Apple said, that's why it's just blue. But we can do the same thing here and change it to a different one. Like I could change it to just press period or dot and just change it to gray. I'll give it some time to render over here, and you'll see it change over here. Or you could change it from to gray to green. Or since this is WAP, and big up to Cardi B, I think Cardi likes pink, so you can change it to pink. But right now I'm gonna just pick red. Cool. So you can see that we can have multiple different modifiers and changes that we want to add to some type of text on the screen. And you see it all the time, whenever you're using Mad apps, you'll see like some of the text look different. Literally, this is pretty much how they do it. So the next thing I want you to take a look at is another modifier. So I know, we're going through Mad modifiers, but the thing is, it's really important to see how you change text and like words that you show on the screen. So suppose, I see one right here for italic. I think that's a slanting thing. Let's see where the text will kind of slant. Not much change, so we don't really need that one. I want to try something where we'll see some more. Also strike through. So I'm guessing this will just strike some line through the text. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And let's see, what else do we got? We have underline. Obviously, if we do that, it will just underline the text. And we have accent color. Okay, so we can change, as I said, we can change mad stuff inside SwiftUI. It's really just whatever, you just mix and match different modifiers for text and it will change. So accent color is something that mainly you use for buttons, where it will change throughout the font, throughout like the font for the buttons. So we'll skip with this one right now, but the one I want you to check out though is background. So background now would add like a type of, as it just like that, so it would add a type of background color to the entire text. So it could be like color. Sometimes it makes it that you just press red, but sometimes for background you have to do color dot red and you specify the color. But since the text is red, I'm guessing you won't be able to see it. So let's make the background black. And now we should be able to see red text with a black background. Okay, good. Okay, cool. So you should get the idea now that whatever text we want to show on the screen, we have to make sure that they're in quotation marks. And whenever they're in quotation marks, that is a string. That's what they call it. Strings are words, pretty much. It's just a way. Strings is just the way how it's represented, how it's called when you're doing programming. Okay. The next thing is I don't like the space. I feel like I want more space around this. So we're gonna use one of the most, I swear, this is probably the most popular modifier that there is. And this is padding. So let's press dot or period again, and then just press padding. And you watch what happens. It's like it adds space around
basically the text. It adds like space around it. Like say if we want, so this, when we do it without specifying anything, like right here, it will add space to the top, left, right, bottom. Okay, it will add space everywhere. But if we only wanted space, say to the left, we would go inside this parentheses and typing leading. And leading pretty much is just like, yo, add padding to the left. But Apple just decides to call it leading. And you'll see it, you'll see this little tiny padding right here. So guys, yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. Just give you an intro to text and like what they entail when using them. The thing is though, what if we wanted to add another piece of text? So before I go, I'm going to show you how we do that. So you might be thinking that, well, you could just, since we get the idea, if you want to put text on the screen, you gotta type in text first. You gotta put the parentheses, and then you gotta put a string inside. And what is a string? Pretty much words that are inside quotation marks like these. So I want to make it that the next string is dancehall music. You would think that, well, I would see WAP is the best, and then I'd see probably dancehall music below. Well, the case is that that doesn't happen. What actually happens is you see dancehall music in a whole separate preview, like it's a whole different app. So to fix this, I'm gonna give you a quick preview of what we would do. We would have to use something called a Vstack, and what a Vstack does, it keeps all the elements of a screen going down like in one direction, so it's going vertical. So let me just do it and show you. So let's type in Vstack right here, and then we have to start off with some curly braces. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna move all this stuff. So the text we wrote before, we're gonna move it and put it right inside the Vstack. And then once we do that, you'll notice that within the app now you will see both of them. So you see it right here, we see both text inside the app instead of seeing it before in two different things. So one thing I want to show you though really quick is we can share modifiers. So you see like how WAP is the best has all this font already, all this type of styling already. It has the font to make it large title, it has the font to make it bold and heavy, it has the background color, all of that. But dancehall music doesn't have anything. So what we can do is actually copy modifiers. So these modifiers that we have here, we could just copy them, Command C, and then just add them to the other text element that we want, and give it some time, and you'll see it show just like that. So now we have WAP is the best, dancehall music. And just to give you an idea of how powerful this Vstack is, it's like it shows anything that's at the top shows first on the screen. Then the thing that's below in the below that in the Vstack shows below that. So if we switch this, like if I copy this last text, Command X, and then put it above the WAP is the best, you should see dancehall music appear right above it, just like that. Okay, and it's the same thing if we wanted to. So again, if we wanted to add another text, we would make sure it's inside the Vstack. We type in text and make sure we add the string, which would require us to add quotation marks. And the next thing is, thank you. So that's gonna be our other text that we add, and you see it's right below it. So the first one at the top of the screen versus this one followed below it versus this one followed right below it. So that's pretty much how text work in SwiftUI and Swift when we want to show them on the screen. And the different modifiers that we can use are some of these. If you want some more, just press down and it's a whole bunch of them. These are some for accessibility. I'm going to touch on those in a different video to focus more, because accessibility does deserve, it's a really powerful tool and it really does deserve a video on its own. But anyways, if you like this, just like and subscribe and check it out. And I know the nerd here later.